Eric Lavigne is the cop who doesn't play by the unspoken rules. He's not hiding behind the badge. He's ripping the curtain off the culture. From squad room secrets to the failures caught on body cam, he calls it like it is and dares the system to come after him. This isn't the safe version of policing the public's used to. This is raw, unfiltered, and unapologetic. Eric Lavigne breaks ranks, breaks silence, and brings the truth no one else has the guts to say. On this episode of Tactical Tequila Podcast with your host, Matt Wilson. If you enjoy the show, hit the like button, subscribe, and share it to your social media platforms. Thanks for tuning in and enjoy the show. Welcome back, everyone. Matt with Tactical Tequila Podcast here. And on today's show, we have a fabulous guest in store for you. Eric Lavigne of Two Cops, One Donut. He doesn't hide behind the badge. He rips it off. He's exposing the locker room lies, the body cam failures, and the truths that cops pray you'll never hear. Raw, ruthless, and unfiltered, he's breaking ranks and burning the silence down. Eric, welcome to the show. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that intro. That made me sound a lot cooler than I feel like I am. So thank you very much.
Well, just to kind of dive into things, getting into your background, when did you first realize that the badge didn't make you bulletproof from your own demons?
Okay, so I got lucky. My dad was a cop, and that kind of gave me a good insight. Now, I didn't grow up with my dad, though, so that's kind of what made it a little different. Started out in Flint, Michigan. My mom and dad, they dated. They broke up. A few months later, mom found out she's pregnant. They tried to kind of make it work for about a year. They're not compatible people. So my dad ended up going down to Texas, following his brothers to start painting. The painting industry of houses wasn't doing as well as he thought. Somehow he got into law enforcement. So he ended up being a cop in North Texas for a major city. And so I got good insight on policing from there. So to answer your question, I guess the combo of growing up in Flint and my dad kind of gave me, I would say, a humbled perspective about police work. And joining the military also gave me another, outside perspective of the Constitution, if that makes sense. So I think that's kind of where I started. When I was going through police training, I was always kind of looking through those two lenses as some of the stuff that I'm seeing. You swore an oath of the Constitution becoming a cop, but I don't think you were ever really quite taught what that is sometimes. And seeing the problems in training and what that oath means, that's where I started to really start stepping back and seeing things like that.
What would you say the hardest truth about yourself that you've had to face after years of being in uniform?
I would say the hardest truth was just drinking the Kool-Aid. There were times where, there's nothing going on and you're being, directed to go do enforcement. And you're like, oh, yeah, like I'm a cop. That's what I should be doing, is enforcing things. And so you're kind of like, traffic stops is probably the easiest thing to show that you're working. You're trying to show and prove that you're out there helping out. But in that, I don't think you really are. You're losing focus, and then they're not giving you a quota. But when you get your performance evals, they're saying, like, you wrote so many tickets, you did so many things, you did this, you were productive. So they kind of like, it's like you're being bamboozled and you don't even realize it early in your career. It's one of those things that just takes experience and getting out there. And so looking back, I'm like, Jesus, man, I was writing tickets and doing traffic stops on stuff that I probably didn't need to enforce. I could have made it more of an educational thing versus an enforcement thing. And like I said, looking back, I do regret that. But on serious calls, I think I've always had a pretty even even view of things and was able to figure things out. But I feel like those chintzy, cheap ways of doing police work, I fell into that trap early and took me a little bit to figure that out.
Well, and talking about that, a lot of that comes with experience, and it also comes from the leadership that you have within the ranks. And whether or not I'm a big fan and proponent of community policing, I think that is. And most of the road work that I ever did was in the military. I was military police, so you're always dealing with trained killers.
Right.
And people don't realize that even when you're working the road on a military installation, there's a lot of MPs that really don't foresee it that way. And you got to think about it like, man, like all these people are really trained to kill me.
Yeah. Yep. And I'm also I'm still in security forces for the Air Force, out of the 802nd. Shout out. Carnage Flight. I'm what's called an IMA reservist, for anybody that's wondering, like, why do you have
Okay.
a beard? So that's an individual mobilization augmentee. And the dummy version of that is, instead of being attached to a reserve unit, I'm attached to an active duty unit. So
Okay.
I'd get to schedule my time each year. So I do 24 days straight, usually around March. It's just a good time of year for me. And yeah, I get to do all my time at once. So it's pretty cool.
Oh, that is awesome. As we talked about community policing and things of that nature, has there ever been a time where you've considered walking away from law enforcement? And how did you kind of hone yourself back in?
No, I have not. I've never once questioned my law enforcement. I love doing it. I love the way I do it. I think that's what I love about law enforcement, is I can do it my way within certain parameters, obviously. But for the most part, I'm my own boss. I can do it the way I want to do it. And I've done it that way for, I've been a cop 20 years now, almost 20. And probably within my first 5 years is when I really started to hone in how I wanted to do it. And I just been doing my own thing ever since, and no regrets. So I love it.
Really, no regrets.
Not even one letter. No, no. I honestly, and it's very I don't want to say controversial, but it's one of those things. Cops are cynics, most of them. They're cynical people. They're jaded. They see the bad. And I've been the guy that's always been, I'm just optimistic. I'm an optimistic person at heart. It's this job and the military will try to destroy that if you don't actively fight it. And I've always been very cognizant of it. So I've always actively fought it. That's why it's not a bragging point, but I am kind of a unicorn when it comes to our career fields. I've been in the military and a police officer, and I've been with the same woman since 7th grade. So
Wow.
we grew up together. That doesn't happen.
Kudos to you. I
Right.
just got married on Saturday, so.
Oh, nice. Nice. So but it's very rare. And what's the culture of policing usually say? Well, once you had your first divorce, now you're a real cop. We joke about that. How many
Mhm.
divorces you got, Smith? Oh, I've got 2. Oh, come back when you got 4, you know?
Well, and it's the same even on the military side of things. If you've been on a deployment, like guaranteed you've had at least one divorce.
Yep. Everybody knows Jody. So, yeah. So,
So so what does Eric Lavigne the man crave that uh, Eric Lavigne the cop could never give that man?
um, I would say just nature and peace. That's a weird thing. I love police work, but it's a constant hypervigilance. Even in what I do now, I'm not on the streets anymore. I'm in a real time crime center. So I'm basically I'm in a city that's like 1 million to 1.2 million people. I've got 2,000 cops at my department. So I'm constantly, there's constantly calls. We have over 1 million calls a year, and even in the crime center, you're hyper. I could have my feet up on the desk, but I'm listening for the radio. I'm waiting for that tone. I'm waiting for the channel to be closed. And then it's all hands on deck. How can we help the officers in the field? We're tapping into body cameras. We're launching drones. We're looking at cameras around the city. We're looking through dash cameras. We're checking out Air One when they're flying over. We're seeing what they're seeing. I mean, it's just, I'm inundated now with the whole city versus me going call to call myself. You know, in a night, let's say handle or help on 10 to 15 calls. That's only 10 to 15 calls. Whereas now, every priority one that happens in the city, I'm a part of in some form or fashion. So for me, I grew up in Michigan, and I've always been a hunter and a fisherman, and that is my reset button for life, just in general. I just like to get out there and do that stuff. I can't do that as a cop. I can't. I mean, it's things I can take time out and go do, but it can't. You can't do it as a cop. You just can't, and it's too hard. You don't have the time to turn that hypervigilance off. Like when we take a vacation, our vacations are. I personally, like, I will take a family vacation. My vacation's 2 weeks. My vacation starts almost a week before my family's, just to start to try to unwind, because I've learned over time, if we go to the Caribbean, let's say, because that's a cheap vacation, you know, if we go to the Caribbean, if it's a 4-day vacation, I never relaxed. It like, I don't hit that level of relaxed. I have to start relaxing prior to that. Everything's gotta be switched off for a long time. And then we go to the vacation. Then when we get back from the vacation, I'm still off. I still take a few more days to just embrace it and enjoy it once it finally hits, because it does take a while. So yeah, for me, to answer your question in short, yeah, it's nature. I don't know why. It's just a weird thing for me.
So now, kind of just getting into calling out cops and in the culture of things, what would you say one thing is that cops suck at, but will never admit it?
Oh, that they're wrong, or that they don't know. Those are the two big ones. And oh god, you're gonna get me going down. I'm gonna go off. And ego. That's the other one. I think those are it. Just to answer your question in short, because this is a lot of things that we could elaborate on, but it's your show. I'm going to let you control it.
Listen, I'm happy you want to dive down the rabbit hole. Let's dive down it.
Okay, so when it comes to cops, things that they don't want to admit, they can't fight. That's another big one. I'm a purple belt in jiu-jitsu. I've been doing jiu-jitsu since 2006. Before that, I did judo. Before that, I did what most kids do, you know, wrestled and did a little bit of Shotokan karate. I don't recommend Shotokan karate, but it did teach you how to use your kicks and stuff a little bit. Just enough to get beat up as a kid. I think it helped me do. But jiu-jitsu, I started in 2006, and UFC was getting big, but I had known about jiu-jitsu through judo. And I think judo is another great thing. And but jiu-jitsu to me was like for police work in general, I think it's the end all be all. So I got into that and got into boxing for the last 3 years. I think I've been boxing, not fighting people. I don't want anybody, oh, you dudes out here just mashing it up. No, I'm not. I don't spar with people. I work mitts. I'm 42 years old. I don't need any more head trauma. So I spar with mitts, hit the bag, you know, get a little bit of training and footwork and stuff like that, just to know how to throw my hands. But my point being is, I knew going into this career field, one, through my dad, who's nationally ranked in judo, by the way. So never been able to beat dad up. He's a badass. But cops, they think because they went through the academy for 4 months, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, whatever, you know, crappy academy, you know, control tactics, defensive tactics they went through, and think that that's enough. Oh, now you got the badge, you got the gun, everybody's going to listen to you. Well, guess what? Not everybody is going to listen to you. If you didn't come prepared, it's your fault. It isn't the department's fault. I mean, they have part ownership in that, but I look at police work like being a doctor or a lawyer. I don't just go to law school. That doesn't happen. Preparation had to start before you went there. So if I'm going to be a career police officer, and I know this about myself, most people don't just jump into being a cop. They kind of plan for it. They know what's going to happen. So if you're going to jump into this career field, you're going to get in a fight. That's a given. The chances of you using your gun are super rare if you really look at statistics. But a fight, it's going to happen. It's a guarantee. You're going to get in a fight. And if you're not ready and you end up shooting somebody because of your crappy preparation to get in this career field, it's on you, just like a doctor. If a doctor gets into medical school, that prep work started when he was in high school. Probably sooner than that, but, had to get good grades. You don't just get accepted to medical school. And then that prep work went into getting into college, doing good that first 4 years, because you're still not a doctor when you go into the first 4 years. You're getting all your prereqs and showing that you belong there, because it's one of the most serious jobs that in elevated professions that are out there. So police work, if you're going to get into this career field, you should have started learning how to defend yourself and to fight. Like I don't want to sugarcoat it. And I think cops get themselves into more shit because can you swear on your podcast? I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good.
Good to go. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about it. Cops get themselves into more shit because of the ego, the false confidence that they have with the uniform, and just that I don't know how to articulate what is going on in my mind right now about your question, but I think that is a main factor that cops will just not admit to, and it's a problem.
Now, so talking about cops, law enforcement, is there any real justice, or is it just more or less versus protecting the system's image, do you think?
What do you mean? Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
I guess how much of law enforcement is real justice as opposed to protecting just the system's image?
I gotcha. I would say real justice is rare. It's rare. And I look at it how often do you have a true victim? That's what I look at. Like a true victim. And people are like, what do you mean by a true victim? Listen, if there's a gangbanger shooting at another gangbanger because they have some sort of street beef, and we catch one, what is that? Is that justice? I don't know that that's justice. I think it's a problem that's being created by two criminal elements, and they're not going to help you anyway. So where's the real justice there? Somebody's calling about people videotaping outside the bank. Now they're using the police as a tool to manipulate the system. Like, is that real justice? Like a lot of times cops are used as a manipulative tool versus actually helping somebody out that's a victim. So I don't think that it happens a whole lot. Now, on serious things like homicides and things like that, I do think there's a lot of real justice on the very serious, significant crimes. At least on homicide, one of the ones that's very hard and it seems to be a bigger problem than I ever knew was human trafficking and the sexual exploitation stuff. That's huge. Like it's just such a bigger deal than what I ever thought. And I don't know. I don't know if those guys are getting caught either. So,
well,
yeah.
So when I used to work for the U.S. Attorney's Office here, I was the law enforcement coordinator, community outreach and reentry program coordinator. And I started the first ever human trafficking conference here in Las Vegas on the federal side of things. Got it up running for 2 years and then ended up leaving the office for other reasons. But I had at least 2 under my belt, and whether or not they still continue to do those kind of conferences. And I would have anyone from sane nurses come in and talk about the victim side of things. And then I would also have a buddy of mine who was a former Navy SEAL, does his own security work and gets invited to Black Hat all the time, the convention. So like he could build skimmers. He would show basically what the criminal elements are up to when it comes to human trafficking. And people would rave that just, man, this was such a great conference. And human trafficking is definitely, not only is it a issue for our nation, but worldwide. I think it's big here, and there's a lot of politicians that are just, I think, turning a blind eye to a lot of it, and it's very unfortunate and sad for those victims when it comes to that.
Yeah, and that's the point, is that it's the victims that you're trying to. That's who the justice is for, and like I said, it's just finding out if you have a true victim. I worked a bar area, entertainment district, for a few years as a sergeant, and I can tell you right now, 99% of the fights, the person that lost was usually the one that started it, and they want you to arrest the other person. I'm just like, buddy, you're going to jail. If he goes to jail, you're going to jail too. Just because you lost doesn't mean you get to cry wolf now. But you need to be experienced to be able to sift through the weeds on that type of thing and be able to call that stuff out. So, again, the true justice, I do wonder. I wonder what, I know from my own experience, but I do wonder how much real justice is actually being done out there.
So my next question kind of goes back to dealing with ego. Do you feel that law enforcement is afraid of losing their public respect, or do you think they're more concerned with losing more of like their pensions?
Shoot, that's hard, because if you're at a department that doesn't have public respect, I don't think you're worried about it at all. So yeah, I think has a lot to do with losing their pension. And like where I'm at, we're very much supported by our citizens. And we have so much so that we have what's called a CCPD fund, where they vote every so many years to give a 0.5-cent tax to the police department. And that gets like a 90+% rate of approval. So that vote every time we get it is like a litmus test to how we're doing, kind of read the room. If we're not doing well, that voting may dip. And so for me, like, I think having citizen support helps keep officers honest, because I'm not going to let you, and this is why I'm all big about holding other cops accountable, is like, I am not going to let you ruin a good thing that I have going, because I know how important it is for the community that I serve and this department that we get rid of our bad apples and call it out immediately. And I think where I'm at, they're very good at doing that. But that also helps me look at these other departments that don't have that culture. Because at the end of the day, they don't have citizen support. All they got is their pension. So I kind of understand why they act and misbehave and have poor training, and which is usually the root of all the issues, is poor training. But I see that, and I don't necessarily, I understand. It's not that I agree with it, but I understand. Like, I get it. Like, yeah, you're at a shit department. You got no support. Why wouldn't you just observe and report if it's not required that you have to do anything else?
Now, more or less off the wall kind of question. What would you say the dirtiest cop trick you've ever seen in order to avoid accountability is?
I don't remember. That's no, I don't remember.
I understood when she said it.
Yeah. You can't disprove it. And I think that, I would say that's probably it. Everybody saw that, was it Jeffreyon interview that guy did, and he just kept saying, I don't recall, I don't remember. I'm like, oh my God, like, you're lying, but to me, that's a dirty trick.
Now, going into body cams, if law enforcement officers, and of course, privacy stuff aside, if law enforcement officers had to wear a body cam 24/7, even off duty, how many do you think would still wear the badge?
Oh, Jesus, none of them. I'd be included. I need some off time. if I want to tell my kid he's being a little asshole, then let me say it. I can't do that if I got a body camera on me. No, but I am a huge proponent of body cameras. I was wearing body cameras before they were even. I bought my own on Tiger Direct. If anybody remembers Tiger Direct, it was like one of the first tech websites that you could buy stuff. It was like a 2 megapixel Chinese piece of crap body camera, but I bought it and I wore it because I was like, I needed something to protect me. And I just felt like that was the way to go. It was definitely taboo. Other people did not want me having it on around me. But I love it. And now I'm to the point where I see cops, they won't leave the sector without their body. Like they feel negative. You'll see them run back in. Oh, I forgot my camera. Like they're nervous to even leave without it on their body. So I love that the culture has changed so much, but there's still there's still departments that don't even have them. And they're refusing to have them. There's sheriff's departments that I've seen bragging about that they won't wear them. And I'm like, that's absolutely insane. I'm like, you are not looking out for your community. I don't even think they're doing it to be shady. I think they're doing it as you're not going to tell us what to do. Ego again.
Because this is the way we've always done it.
Yeah, they'll use that.
We don't want to change.
Yeah. Why is an officer's word not good enough? That's like what I'll hear. I'm like, it's not. We're not saying that. Why not support your officer's word with as much evidence as you can have? That's the way I look at it.
Exactly.
Because a body cam is not an end all be all either. It supports what the officer has to say, or goes against it. It just depends.
Now, I watch a lot of your content. Love your content. What would you say your raw reaction is most of the time when cops completely botch a situation on video? And do you condemn them or support them?
It just depends. Sometimes, well, I would say a lot of times I can see the training failure where I'm like, ugh, because I used to be an academy instructor as well. And I see the training failure. I'm like, oh my God. Like the big one. Sir, I'm going to need to see your ID. What's your cause for seeing my ID? Well, we were called here. That's the big one. We were called here. Oh, so because you were called to the scene, you got a right to see somebody's ID? Like, it doesn't work that way. And I truly believe in most instances, those cops believe that. And I'm not faulting them. I'm faulting their training. It's terrible. That's why a lot of times I'm not just going to bash them. I'm going to educate. Every time I have these videos I see and I run across, the point is educating because they may not have the same training that I've got. And here's another thing for people to consider too. When people like, oh, saying training's a cop out, no pun intended. Think about it this way. I am at a department that is got, over 1 million calls for service. I've got 2,000 cops and I've got a state-of-the-art training facility. I've got more training than I want to do. Most of the time training's a hassle for me, which is a good problem to have. When I learned in the academy about criminal trespass and all the elements of trespass, when I went into the field, I was practicing criminal trespass and trespass warnings and stuff like that and when to ID daily. You can't avoid it. You can't be a lazy officer. You just can't. There's too many calls. You're going call to call to call. When I get on shift, there's 30, 40 calls just holding on my side of town alone. So I am constantly getting reps. Now let's go to a city of 10,000 people with a department that's 20 deep. And the last time they touched on criminal trespass was the academy. And they get 1,000 calls for service a year. And they maybe take 20 people to jail a year. Or I could do 20 in a week if I really wanted to. They're not messing with criminal trespass and they're not getting really any reps on IDing people. And if the culture was wrong to begin with, not unintentional, but somehow it got passed down from an FTO. Oh, we were called here. That's a lawful reason. So now we're going to ID. And that never got checked. You've just developed your first huge cultural indoctrination of terrible policing. And now everybody that falls underneath that is going to fall into that, and they're never going to know because they don't get enough calls a year. So that's where I come in. I'm going to call you out at your expense. Sorry. It is your fault in a way. It's also your department's fault. But I think with all of these videos, we can turn them into some sort of educational thing. And here's when you can ID. Here's when you can't ID. It varies from state to state. I'll, give the caveats on that stuff. But for the most part, da 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 da. And then now I'm not condemning you. I'm helping you improve. If we can use your video to help a ton of other officers improve, that's what I want to do. Every bad cop video or every good cop video has takeaways that other officers can get from. And that is the main point. So if it is a bad video, sorry. If it's a good video, awesome. Because I like to share the wins too. I don't just call out the bad. Call it the video I just posted today. I don't know if you got a chance to see that one. Officers at a concert. It's a female officer. She's dealing with a female suspect that is causing fights at the concert. Now she's like trying to get her to walk with her away. The suspect grabs onto like a bar so she couldn't pull her. And then she swings at the female cop, and the female cop ducks it, kind of like gets back and throws a good overhand right. Suspect goes down to the ground and she puts her in cuffs. It was quick, clean, precise, and professional. That's a win all day long. And I want other officers to see that and realize, look, you can do good police work. You can do stuff like this as long as you stay within the parameters, man. This is textbook. And I highlighted that. So
now, just quick, your videos, do you search those videos out yourself, or do they get sent into you?
I used to. It used to. But, I've been doing this almost 5 years now. I used to look for all these videos myself. Now I can't. I've got so many videos that get sent to me that I cannot keep up. Between our Discord channel, our Instagram, Facebook, those three alone, and then TikTok, I do get some, and then LinkedIn. Believe it or not, LinkedIn's a huge one. I get a ton of videos from LinkedIn, so sent to me, I should say. So yeah, if anybody's listening to this, and like, I've sent him a ton of videos, he never shows them. Like, sorry, I get to what I can get to.
If a rookie came up and asked you how to survive the politics within a department, what would your brutally honest advice be to them?
To avoid the politics, you got to keep your mouth shut. Don't get involved. It's really simple. It's not a complicated thing. Where cops get themselves in trouble is they want to interject themselves, and they need to, again, ego. No, I know better. I know what's right. No, listen, you're in a paramilitary career field. Shut up and color. Just shut up and color. As long as you're not violating somebody's constitutional rights and things of that nature. Obviously, there is a line to stand on. But when it comes to the politics, stay out of it. It has nothing to do with you. You've got nothing you can do to change it other than put a target on yourself. Don't do it. It is not worth putting a target on yourself. Leave that for good leadership. Good leadership should be the ones doing that. But you, as a grunt on the front lines of police work, shut up. Just go have fun being a cop. You got enough to learn. You don't need to get in the politics game.
Now, in getting back to your content, has there ever been one episode that you were like nervous to put out?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's been quite a few. The first time I had a felon on, the Kyle Rittenhouse episode that I did. Shoot, what else? One of my hosts or one of my guests said the N-word. Now he's black, so he can do that, but like just that alone made me nervous. I was like, oh shit, because I'm still an active cop. So the general orders state that even if I follow all the social media rules and do all that, if I make the department look bad, I can still be shit canned. So I am taking a huge personal risk doing what I'm doing. And sometimes people will ask me political questions, and I don't get into politics. Again, I'm following my own rules. I'm trying to tell these rookies, don't get involved in politics. So for me, I'm constantly trying to make sure when I'm putting stuff out there, okay, how can this be viewed? There's always somebody that can view what you say in a bad way, but I'm just very cognizant about not involving my department, any of that stuff, and making sure people know it's my personal view based on my experience and education, not from my department. So, yeah.
And do you feel like your content ever makes you a bigger target within the profession?
Oh, that was like one of the biggest shocks. I started this because I'm like, again, ego. Everybody's got an ego somewhere. And my ego was like, oh, I'm going to train the citizens. I'm going to show them. I'm going to help them see the side of policing they don't get to see. I didn't really do that as much as I think I educated a lot of cops and created a lot of cop enemies because they don't like criticism, period. And throwing that out there, one of the biggest cop outs, no pun intended again, is you need the full investigation. You don't know this, you don't know that. Like every single time. And I said, you're missing the point. There's conversations that the public wants to have. They are dying to have. They are just thirsting to be able to have a cop look at a video and just talk honestly about what they see. Rather than here, we got to wait for the full investigation. I can't really say I wasn't there. Like that's every time. And I'm tired of that. I'm like, no, this is where we need to change it up. Let's do something different. Let me look at this video. Okay, cool. I'll fully admit, yeah, there's probably more to this, but based on what I see, here's what I see and why I see that. Now, if information changes later, we'll discuss it then. The big one, the Sonia Massey case, the boiling pot of water, that if anybody's wondering what case we're talking about. We watched that on a live stream that we were doing. Never seen it, but people sent it in. They're like, you got to watch this. Like it was fucking fresh. And so we watch it. It's like the whole body cam. And it eats up the entire, most of the episode because it was a long body cam. And so we're sitting there watching and I'm like, yeah, I'd have been gone. Like I'd have left here. And, my co-host, Banning, he's like, yeah, I would have left here. I was like, okay, yeah, keep going. Why are we still here? Like, I'd have left here. Okay, now why are we pushing so hard for ID? Like, I don't need it. Let's go. We have no offense. Let's leave. And it was all because I think she heard somebody outside of her house. And then the next thing I know, we're inside the house. I'm like, what the fuck are we doing here? Why are we in this house? Like, we're laughing about it. Again, having no clue what this call was going to come into. And so then we're seeing, and then all of a sudden that switch happens where the officer is like, I'll fucking put a hole in your head. And I'm like, whoa. And so we pause the video again. And I'm like, right here as the partner, it's my job to step in and intervene. Hey, partner, go outside. We're done. Like, because I realized we don't need to be here. And it could have been squashed there. There wasn't much time in between that because then the asshole officer steps in between the two of them with his gun and kind of forces the issue, creates his own exigency. And, she does chuck the water at him and all, I don't want to get in the debate about that side of it, but that's besides the point. Point is, shouldn't have been there, should have never came to what it came to. And trying to figure out where I was going with that as far as reviewing these videos and coming up with these opinions. If it was to be found out later that there was something we didn't see or whatever, okay, we can have that discussion and talk about it later. But being willing to talk about a law enforcement action like that right after it happened helps the community build some trust with you. They may not agree with you, but damn it, at least you came to the table to talk and not just dismissed and said, well, we can't until we have the full investigation. I agree. The full investigation is important, but everybody else is going to be talking about it. And if you don't get some sort of law enforcement perspective out there soon, fast, we're just going to keep creating division. So that's kind of how I see it.
So at what point do you decide to push the line or necessarily cross it with your content?
When I honestly see it, like I don't, it's not like a conscious decision. I look at it, I'm like, that's fucked up. right away. I'm like, that's fucked. Like, the Sonia Massey thing, that's fucked up. I just watched this entire call develop, and it shouldn't have came to this. So I just I'm very conscious led. If I feel like I just go off my feeling. If I feel like it's wrong, and I can say why I think it's wrong, I'm not just going to say, oh, it just feels wrong. No, I'll say this feels wrong. Here's why I think it feels wrong. But I'm always challenging myself to look at the full picture. Okay, what are some factors in here that could have led to why we got to where we're at? Is it training? Is it something this officer sees that we're not seeing? That's always a factor. What we see on body cam isn't a true account of what this officer sees. Body cam could be facing one way. He could be looking the other way. He could be hearing something that we don't see. So there's always that. But yeah, for me, when it comes to whether it's right or whether it's wrong, I just go off of what I see. If I feel like it's wrong, the First Amendment auditors is, I've got a reputation with auditors. They like me because I show their stuff all the time. And I'm like, you're in the right. And why is it so hard for a cop to just acknowledge, yeah, he's right? And they're like, well, they're only showing the part they want you to see. No, go to their page. They post the whole fucking video. They post most of these auditors that do what they're supposed to be doing when they do it the right way, like Long Island. I like Long Island. He posting it like when that camera turns on, he's not even where he's at yet. Like he shows his path, him getting up there, him setting up, and then the people coming at him. And I'm like, no, he's showing the whole picture. I'm watching the cops roll up in their car. They never make contact with the complainant. They never sat back and just watched and observed, which is 99% of dealing with an auditor. So if you're a cop and you're listening to this, stop going right up to the auditor. Don't even make contact with them. Go back, observe. If you don't see an offense, don't even make contact. Go talk to your complainant. Now see what the complainant says. If the complainant can articulate a crime, okay, now you got a reason to at least contact them, because it's still he said, she said. But go up, make contact. Hey, this is kind of what's being alleged. And a lot of these auditors will be like, you want to watch my video? But what does the officer do? I need to see your ID. No, bro, you don't. Like, relax. You get to that if you need to get to that, but you're falling right into their trap. This is what the auditors are trying to see if you're going to overstep. Don't have a right to their IDs yet. And that's where I get into the education side of this stuff. So when I watch these videos, I'm just like, damn, like you screwed the pooch. I'm going to call it out. Here's the education and the fix behind it as I know it. If you can prove me wrong, like I'll own that too. Like that's kind of the point. Get comfortable with being wrong, guys. Police need to get comfortable being wrong.
Now, if your show and your content, social media all disappeared tomorrow, what truth would you have regretted not putting out there?
Oh, let me see. I don't know that I don't think there's a truth that I would regret. I think I put out what I feel is truth. I think my regret would be not saying how I truly feel. I cannot express myself the way I want to sometimes. Simply because I'm still employed. I don't want to get fired for talking out of pocket. And I'm still in the military, guys. So that's another thing. Like there's things people asking me, the president, and not the current president. I'm just saying presidents in general, asking me questions. Well, what about the president doing this? I have no opinion. I'm not getting booted out of the military either. So
in talking about that, what's one topic that you want to cover, but know that it could potentially end your career if you covered it?
One that I would love to do right now is all the federal ICE police stuff going on. That's one I'd love to really cover, but I can't. And honestly, my ignorance level on that's pretty high. I've got my opinions based on my experience, but I don't even personally really know any ICE guys. I know a couple, but they don't deal with any of that stuff. They're all Texas guys on the Texas borders and stuff like that, and they're just doing normal business as usual. So yeah, that's one I'd really love to touch on. And let me see what else. Stuff in my own city. I would love to touch on stuff on my own city. I'm not stupid, so I don't. I would love to. I think there's a lot of good stuff that my city does. I think there's room for improvement on things, but yeah, I just avoid it.
So just kind of want to dive a little bit deeper on ethics and identity and your legacy. Do you believe that the uniform has made you a better man, or do you feel like it's taken parts of you that you'll never get back?
I think overall it's improved me. Because I've learned a lot of life lessons through other people's tragedies. I've learned a lot of life lessons through my own tragedies. And I've got to see some really cool, uplifting things that I don't think I would have ever got to see without it. The old adage is it's front row tickets to the greatest show on earth. And I believe that. I think police work's what you make it, just like your military career is what you make it. I'm an optimistic guy. I told you that before. I always looked at I just look at where I'm at right now. This would not be possible without that uniform. And it has gotten me places that I don't think I would have been able to get to without it. And I don't look at that as a crutch. I don't look at it as being able to do things that regular citizens can't do. Everybody, even the guy that works at Subway, has an advantage that I don't have at working at Subway. I use that because I worked at Subway when I was in high school. And, nothing like going in, making the bread yourself, and then making your own sandwich like that. There was a beauty to that back in the day. Now they don't even do it that way anymore. I'm back in the old Subway stamp era, guys.
Well, and you recently just did some content on that about getting into places where you wouldn't normally get to based on the stuff that you put out there.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Can you kind of give me an example of which direction you're going? Because I'm not sure if you mean with the podcast or with the uniform or what.
I believe it was with the uniform. It was with a department, and I can't remember specifically which department, but you'd shared some pictures. And the caption was kind of like what you said. You wouldn't be where you're at right now in those pictures.
I remember what you're talking about. Scottsdale, I think that was.
Yes.
I was at Scottsdale. Yeah. So with the Two Cops One Donut stuff that I was doing, we branched out and we created a network called DTV. And in that, I saw a niche for education-based stuff. Again, guys, everything you see me do is hopefully based around education or my sense of humor, which sometimes hits, sometimes misses, is what it is. But the main point is education. And my uniform was able to get the door open to talk to Scottsdale and letting us come out and film the real-time crime center. So that conversation would have never been had if I wasn't a cop. So they took that I guess credibility as a cop, whatever you want to call it, and that's what opened that door. And that's one of the things. It's like kind of a trifecta, man. I'm a military member. I'm a cop. I'm a board member for the National Real-Time Crime Center Association. And those three things, they get a lot of doors opened because it's verifiers for yourself. It's resume builders. It's things that they help you get in the door that you probably wouldn't even be able to glimpse into without it.
I can tell you, coming from military, but most of what I did in the military, the majority of my time that I spent in was all executive protection. So I covered everyone from the U.S. mil rep to NATO to the Secretary of Defense, Deputy Secretary of Defense, their foreign counterparts. Yeah.
He was up there.
So, on my end of that, it's all interpersonal skills and how you talk to people. And if you have those skills and you're able to just kind of just put your persona out there of I belong here, you're going to get into primarily anywhere you can on that aspect.
Yeah.
And I'm a big proponent of when people come into my side of the industry that, look, if you can't communicate with people, if you can't even just walk up and just strike up a conversation, like it's that hard for you, you won't last in the
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah. Well, that's police work. Like I tell people all the time, they're like, who would you rather have? The guy that just graduated college, or would you rather have, the guy that's working at American Eagle in the mall? And I'll tell them, I'd rather have the guy at American Eagle. He's got to talk to people. I'd rather have a bartender or a barista. I think they make the best cops because they have to talk to people and they have to deal with assholes all the time. And
you didn't make my drink right.
Right. Yeah. Whether it's dealing with a Karen or dealing with some drunk at the bar, like it all helps you in police work. Social skills is 99% of the job. Your verbal skills and being able to do that and reading social cues and having, emotional intelligence is, not trying to have too liberal of terms because some people get turned off by a certain language, but emotional intelligence is a real thing. And I think that really helps as a cop. And if you don't have social skills, that's going to be one of the biggest obstacles that you're going to have is yourself. You are going to get you into more shit. Oh, just kick my camera. You're going to get yourself into more shit than the person you're dealing with is going to get you into shit.
So what would you say that scares you more? Is it the idea that nothing changes, or is it that you feel like maybe you'll get left behind?
Well, neither of those scare me, but if I'm going to answer based on your options, I guess getting left behind would suck. But nothing's gonna change. Like I'm again optimistic guy. If I help one person, it's worth it, and I know I have. Like so for me, I'm already winning. I've helped one, and there's countless others that have told me I've helped them. So if they're full of shit or not, that's on them. They've already told me what I like to hear. That's the reward system for myself, is knowing that I'm helping people. And I got good feedback pretty much when I started. And that's a driving factor. I think that's the same thing with police work. You want to help people. Like, I hope that's why you got into it. You want to help people. And every time you know that you help somebody, it keeps feeding that beast to keep doing it. You got to have a personal reward system and don't feel bad about having it. Too many people, they feel, especially in the culture of policing and the military and stuff like that, they don't like that to admit that self-gratification in the job. They feel like I'm just doing this. It's what I do. It's what I get paid to do, Shut up. Like, you like to help people. Just admit it. It's addicting. It's awesome. It's a good thing. Don't make it weird. Stop
Right.
making it weird. It's fun to help people. And, every great show we ever watch, usually that's the common denominator. I mean, A Christmas Carol, it's something simple. Look at it. It's about giving. It's about helping. So
National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation.
exactly. Shitter's full. So you just God, if I could get cops out of their own head. And that's another problem is, I'll get cops that, you just wants to be on camera. He just wants the likes and the clicks. Really? Is that what you think this comes down to, is wanting likes and clicks? I spent a lot of fucking money for likes and clicks. I'm an old man in this career field. Like, I'm 42. I'm about to be 43 in February. Likes and clicks are like the last thing that I really worry about. Does it help my mission? Yes. I need them. But that's not why I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I want to help in a different way. I'm getting the self-gratification from the helping part. So
So talking about helping, and I can just see how much it lights you up, even just talking about that. When you're talking Eric Lavigne's legacy, whether it's as a cop, a man, a podcaster, to sum it up in one sentence, you're 6 feet under, what would you want your legacy to be?
I would want my legacy to be that man was always happy. I think that's what I'd want my legacy to be. I don't want anybody to feel like I regretted anything. I want him to feel like he was always happy. He was living the dream. People think I say that facetiously or sarcastically. I mean it. People I'll give you a little rabbit hole story. Colonel Whitehead, he is a security forces legend. He's in the museum and he's still a standing colonel. So that's how awesome this guy is. He's new to our squadron, and I get put on gate duty. Now, I'm an old ass dude to be on the gate, but I don't care. I'm only there 24 days. I'll do whatever you tell me. You want me to go wash the rocks? I'll go wash the rocks under the flag. I don't care. I'm just there to have a good time. So they put me on the gate. I'm like, oh, this will be fun. San Antonio in March. That's not bad. So I'm out on the gate. I'm at one of the busiest gates, and welcome to the gates of Lackland, checking IDs. I'm the type of person, I don't go through the motions. Like, I'm looking in your car. I'm trying to say funny things or weird things because I want to see your reaction. My job is to stop anything from getting in the base that doesn't need to be there. So, I'm going through the motions like, oh, hey, sir, how you doing this morning? And, I'm good. You? Oh, living the dream. That was and I meant it. I got back to Colonel Whitehead because somebody thought I was being a snarky asshole on the gate. I didn't know this, but that's one of his pet peeves is when people say, living the dream. So I get called to this dude's office, and he's, he sees that I'm a reservist. So I think he was being really cool about it. He's like, Sergeant Lavigne, I just gotta have a talk with you. He's like, we haven't had a chance to sit down and talk. He's like, I usually meet with all the reservists. He's like, but I understand that you had volunteered to work the gate, so I appreciate that. It's like, yeah, sir. It's like, no problem. And he's asking where I work and what I do, and so I'm kind of telling him, and he's like, I can see the wheels turning in his head. And he goes, okay, so tell me what you feel like you should be doing when you're on the gate. And so I go through what I just told you. I'm like, well, I was like, sorry. I was like, I could go through the motions and just welcome them to the gate to Lackland, check their ID, hand it to them, let them go through. I was like, I can try to filter through people and see if I get normal human reactions based on things that I'm saying. Like, the two that I should get is a smile or a grumpy face. I was like, but what I shouldn't get is people like, trying to think of an answer, trying to, just losing that cordialness in the morning. And he's like, okay. Like, he's like, yeah, I can see that I'm winning him over in this. And he's like, okay. He's like, well, one of my pet peeves is when people say living the dream. And he's like, some people may have taken it that you were being sarcastic. I goes, not me, sir. I was like, telling him I'm an optimistic person. And I was like, I'm here 24 days. I was like, if I got stuck on the gate for 24 days, this is an easy tour. I was like, he's like, all right. He's like, well, damn it. He's like, I was here to chew you a new one. And he's like, you won me over. He's like, all right. He's like, try to avoid saying living the dream, but I'm willing to make an exception for you. He's like, because I believe you mean it. And I was like, all right, thank you, sir. I was like, I appreciate it. I was like, that's all. And he's like, and now he's like, I need to implement a new way to screen people coming through the gates because he liked what I was doing. So yeah, long story, but yeah, living the dream, man. I'm a happy guy.
That's a phenomenal story. I want to throw some rapid fire questions at you as we start to taper off here.
Okay.
What risks your career more, the badge or the mic?
The mic. In a heartbeat.
Who really holds cops accountable when they screw up?
Who really holds cops accountable when they screw up? It should be the sergeant. Because most of the time it's at the officer level, or somebody in the field. It should be the sergeant. But it's not always the case.
What would you say the dirtiest secret hiding in the squad room is?
The dirtiest secret hiding in the squad room. Hmm. Cops avoiding calls. I think that's a big one.
Which is more corrupt? I probably know where your answer is going with this, but which is more corrupt, politics or policing?
Politics in a heartbeat, yeah.
And final one, which kills law enforcement? Which kills faster in law enforcement, truth or loyalty?
I guess it depends on what you mean by kill. Kill the career, kill a person. What do you mean?
All the above.
Okay. Killing the career, I think, oftentimes is truth. Read that question to me one more time.
Which kills faster in law enforcement, truth or loyalty?
Yeah. And I think loyalty will kill the person for sure. Yeah. 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 I'm okay with that answer. Yeah.
I like it. Where can everyone find you on social media?
You guys can find me. Look, our biggest accounts are on Instagram under 2cops_1donut. And then on Facebook, it's just 2cops1donut, all spelled out. You can find our YouTube channel, same thing, at 2cops1donut, all spelled out. We're on Discord, same thing. We're on TikTok. We're on Clapper. We're on LinkedIn. So yeah, just look up 2cops1donut, or you can look for me, Eric Lavigne, ErikLavigne, on LinkedIn, if you can't find our business page, but we're on all those things.
Well, Eric, I appreciate your time. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Appreciate it. Take it easy.